Shalom, all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ruchak Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ruchak Wadash. Now, as you can see here, it says Japan minister's speech. Japanese leaders attack Trump's tariffs. Now, this is like 7 days old, but basically, the nations are angry, and the World War III is brewing and is building up towards the judgment day of Babylon the Great. Things are speeding up. But America, if you think about it, during World War II, America basically blew the hell out of Japan. And they silenced them, right? During World War II, the whole world was scared of America. Now you can see the Lord's bringing down America and the Edomites, who the scriptures talk about their look being more stout than their fellows. But the Lord's bringing them down because you're seeing the same nation they once bombed to smithereens in Japan is now talking back to them, which is all biblical prophecy, man. All right. And the bigger picture is it's leading up to the nuclear war. All right. So let me play what this Japanese minister said to Donald Trump regarding these tariffs. All right, which is basically pissed off the world, which is in turn also prophecy, because what the scripture says, basically the allies of America are going to turn against her. All the nations America was once cool with are all turning against America now, which is all fitting in line with what's getting ready to go down. So let me play this here. And listen to what he says. This is embarrassing.
何の整合性もないわけですよ。だけど言ってきてることに対して日本が交渉する場合においてですよ。
Shall I say it's embarrassing unto America, all right, and anyone that believes in Babylon the Great, all right. This is you being made to look like fools.
不良少年のカツアゲに近いですからね。これ言うこと聞いちゃって。
And he said it will be like a delinquent kid extorting someone, referring to America as a delinquent kid.
駆け引きだディールだっつって無理筋を逆に日本が折れちゃったらこれ慣例として過去例として良くないものを作るんですよ。カツアゲするやつでお金得ちゃったらまたカツアゲに来ますから。そもそも数式だってめちゃくちゃですよ。私も数学得意じゃなかったけど、絶対あれ数学で出たらあれ0点取る数式ですよね。
And that's America. See, that's the nation standing up against Babylon the Great. If you read the subtitle, it says if you get mugged and put money in their hands, they will come back to mug us, which is America. America's foreign policies. This is what they've done for years now, hundreds of years now. All right, they put bad deals in place where they just rob nations and rob people, and that's what America's been doing now. Like fitting in line with scripture, which I'm going to read it in Joel 3. What does it say? That the weak have now said they are strong. And all of this is happening because the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, is going to judge America for what they've done to the Israelites. All these nations are going to pay in the end for what they've done to the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, which are the true biblical Israelites. All right? So there's going to have to be some recompense. But the Lord's using these nations for his means, man.
でそんなのだから赤澤大臣も真面目で能力あるけど真面目な人が言って大丈夫かなっていうのもあるんですよね。まっとうな相手じゃないからまっとうなことは聞かないですよ。だってあらゆる選択肢って言ったけどとにかくまっとうじゃない相手に情報はしちゃ絶対ダメですよ。それで緩和してもらったんではこれ悪い例になりますから。とにかくアメリカのカツアゲには絶対屈しないでいただけ。これ本当言葉悪いけどカツアゲですよ。これ言うこと聞いちゃったら本当悪い例になる。本当に。でぜひ言われたし時間ないかもしれないけどいろんな配信のやつでロイ・コーンの彼を育てたロイ・コーンという弁護士のドキュメンタリートランプさんのドキュメンタリーありますけどあれぜひ見てですねトランプさんがどういう人なのか一端を知っていただきたいときにもうあれ見るとね本当こういう人なんだなと思うし今回の関税見直しの時で余裕ぶっこいて自分のゴルフ場行ってたんですよ。悩んだ結論じゃないですもん。本当世界おちょくってますよ。 まあ赤澤大臣も真面目な方で、岩屋さんも真面目な方ですから、ああいう人に真面目に当たったって絶対やられるだけですから、ぜひ岩屋大臣も若い時はいろいろイケイケだったと
And
思いま
this
す。
is what the nations are saying now. Promise, and he said, and basically, mind your dealings with America. He's telling these prime minister that, and says, promise not to be bullied by the US. So the nations, man, they're angry, and it's all fitting into prophecy. So let me read this here, okay? It's all fitting into scriptural prophecy because, look, man, America at the end of the day was created to be basically the hammer of the earth and to be destroyed in the end, okay? And to be a prison camp, as we always go into, it was created to be a prison camp for the children of Israel, right? For Negroes, Latinos, Native American descent people. It was created to be a prison for us, okay? So let me read this here. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. All right, who are the Gentiles in this specific scripture? Is talking about the other nations. All right, so the Japanese would fall under the Gentiles, which they fall under the sons of Ammon. Okay, the Chinese fall under the Gentiles. They fall under the sons of Moab. All right. Then you got the Iranians. They fall under the sons of Elam. So proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And that's what the Lord's been doing. He's been waking up the mighty, the mighty spirit in all these heathen nations, the war spirit in them, okay, to go against America. And not to mention, America's brethren in the Russians, their fellow Edomites. They're the main one that's going to be helping these other lesser nations to destroy Babylon. Okay, to come up against them. And this is what's happening. The mighty men have woken up. So these nations are no longer fearing America anymore. That time is done. Think about it. In 1945, World War II, America, dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, completely obliterating those cities, man. Okay? And guess what? Now them same people, the Japanese, are now saying, look, man, stop the dealings with America. It's over for America. And those people have not forgot about that. The Hiroshima and Nagasaki, destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those Japanese, they've not forgot about that. So they're going to come up against Babylon also. All right? So beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Okay? And that's what they're saying. The weak are now saying that they are strong. Like, for example, the Chinese, Donald Trump, he's basically, was cursing out the Chinese, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, calling them peasants and, putting tariffs on them, and the Chinese ambassadors, they came out and said, well, we are from peasants, but now we're the leading nation, economics and exports and, making things that people in America buy. Their economy skyrocketed. You know what I mean? The Chinese. And he said, look, one of those Chinese ambassadors, he said, China has been here for 5,000 years, way longer than, he said, we don't care if America don't want dealings with us because we will still be here for generations to come. We've existed for 5,000 years, way before America. That's what he said. So this is over for Babylon, man. It's over for the so-called white man and his system and his world, man. And if you can't see that, and you still want to believe in this society, well, you're going to be destroyed along with this place, man. Because there is going to be a judgment day. There is going to be nuclear missiles fired upon this society. And the so-called white man's world is going to come to its end. Okay? So beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And this is what's happening. Okay? These nations, for example, the Chinese, they were once what? They called them peasants. And they said, yeah, well, we were rice herders, man. But now they got their armory to come up against Babylon. So that's prophecy. Beat your plowshares, so that's farming instruments, into swords. So make them weapons. And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. Yes, so your farming tools, now it's a metaphoric, but make them to become weapons. So that's what's happening now. The nations now, the Chinese are way more advanced than the Edomites. In their own technology. They used Esau's world and his system to elevate themselves. Okay? They've used Esau's schools, they've used his technology and done him over in his own technology. I mean, you look at some of them Chinese cities, they're way more advanced than America. They're way more advanced than Europe. They're way more advanced than anything that the Edomites have. Okay? So beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And this is what's happening. That's why Iran don't care about America anymore. They don't want Iran has been wanting problems with America. All right? America and the state of Israel in particular. So it's all building up. It's all coming to this third world war, right? And the nations that were once weak are now basically coming against Babylon the Great. And this is what's happening. Okay? This is what's taking place. So let me read this here. This is Revelation 11 and 18. It says, well, I'll read 14, then I'll jump to 18. It says, Revelation 11 and 14. The second world was past, and behold, the third world cometh quickly. Yeah, the second world war has passed. We've had World War One, we've had World War Two, okay? And it says the third world cometh quickly. So we're now in the process or the building state. We're basically in the stages of World War Three now. This is where we're at. So World War Three cometh quickly. So people, it's looking more like a reality. We've been saying this for years anyway. We know it's coming, but we were always having scoffers. It will never happen. World War Three will never take place, etc., etc. And now we're in the stages of World War Three taking place, because it's all biblical prophecy. And think about it, if World War One and World War Two happened, why won't World War Three take place? It's inevitable, man. And World War Three, which is fast approaching, which is happening now, is the judgment day. It's a nuclear war. Okay? So the second world is past, and behold, the third world cometh quickly. And let me read this here. And the nations were angry. And why is all this taking place? Because the world is the nations that have had dealings with the so-called white. Well, really, our people have been messed up. See, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, we've been complaining about the so-called white man. But these other nations, for generations, they were content because they were getting crumbs off of his table. They were eating with the so-called white man. The scriptures talk about that. The dogs that lick the wounds. So they were having their fun times with the so-called white man. But now the devil, like the devil does, is turning on those nations also. So now they're upset. So it's really about the stranglehold that these so-called Jews, these elite bankers have on the world, all right, which are Edomites. They've got the power of the earth. So this third world war is about taking them out of the rulership. But what people don't know is Yahweh Shai and the angels will return, which is Yahweh Shai is a so-called black man, and he's coming for the nation of Israel and his chosen people. Okay, and the Israelites are going to be the true Israelites are going to be the ones to sit on the thrones in the next world, man. That's what's getting ready to happen. And the only people that are privy to this information are really the wicked elites of the Edomites. The nation, the Goyim, the underlings of this society, they have no clue what's happening. So, and the nations were angry. So that's the Chinese, Japanese, the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs, the Elam, which is the East Indians. All these nations are upset, man, with the so-called white man. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints. Yeah, and who's the prophets? The men that have been teaching in the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, bringing out the 100% doctrine of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right? Which is what? Who the true people of the Lord are. The Lord's real name. How the Lord's going to make his grand return. The nuclear war, the third world war. Who the wicked is of the planet Earth. All right? Who the other nations are. All this information that the men of the Lord been bringing out. See, we're going to get a reward. We want the reward for this, man. Which is the reward for the elect is to rule the next world, man. And to have the first salvation when it comes, basically. To be saved in this time. All right, not to perish and be born again in the next world, but to be delivered in this go round. Okay. So it says, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroyeth the earth. And this is what the Lord's getting ready to do. He's getting ready to deliver his men. All right. Deliver the Israelites, the elect of Israel, and set up the new world, and also to destroy the other nations, but in particular to destroy the wicked, to bring the wicked down. Who's destroyed the earth, because by process of elimination, what people have destroyed this planet earth, what people have ruled the earth and brought it to the brink of destruction. It can only be one nation, the so-called white people, man, the Edomites. They have the power of the earth, so they're the ones that have brought this earth into the brink of calamity that it is, beginning with their elites. Okay? Because the Chinese haven't ruled and destroyed. See, every nation ruled the earth at one point, but they never did what the so-called white man has done, polluted everything completely. Okay? So that's what the Lord's getting ready to do. Reward his men, okay? Reward his people, and shouldest destroy them which destroyeth the earth. That's going into the elites, man. The so-called white man. Their whole world is going to come to its end. Okay? And a new world's going to begin. All right? So let me read this here. Revelation 18 and 11. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn. Oh, this is going into the destruction of America. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Yeah, because these nations, once the Lord puts it into their spirits to destroy America, they're going to mourn. Why are they going to mourn? It's not because of, we always gone into this for years. They're not going to mourn because America was such a good place and a beacon of light on the world for good. No, they're going to mourn because they're not going to make any money anymore. See, the Chinese economy skyrocketed, all right, because of its dealings with America, because of its exports to America. China creates everything that's in America is made in China. So China got rich off of America. So they're going to mourn, but they're going to mourn based off of what? Not because they love America so much, but they're going to mourn based off of, their economy. They're not going to be making the money anymore. So the merchants of the earth, that's these other nations that got rich with Babylon, and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. It says, the merchandise of gold and silver, precious stones, and of pearls, and fine linen, and purple, and silk, and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all manner vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men, okay, and souls of men, and the fruits of that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, because it's all going to be destroyed. Okay, that's everything that's in America. The fine linen, the so-called finest foods, the people, that are in complete slavery, beginning with the Israelites. The ones of our people that don't wake up. They're all going to be judged in America. It's going to depart from thee, and all things which were dainty and good are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. Yeah, because it's going to be done away with. The so-called expensive restaurants, so-called expensive clothing stores, all of that, Hollywood Boulevard, Beverly Hills, all going to be done away with. All right? Departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. It says, the merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. The nations, all right, that got rich off of America. Because all nations, have gotten rich by somehow or some way. All nations have gotten rich off America. So all the heathen nations, whether it's the Saudis, the Arabs, they've got rich off America. The Ishmaelites, the East Indians, they've got rich off America. The Japanese, the Chinese, they've got rich of America. The Koreans, which are all fall under Ammon and Moab, all these nations, they have been made rich off of America. By opening businesses there, by imports, exports, all of that. By trade, they've been made rich by Babylon, man. And in the process of that, also being made rich, they've been made rich by Babylon, and also, by oppressing our people, man. Salakia. Okay? Salakia. And also by oppressing our people, man. Opening up, like China, through the slavery of our people, the heathen nations have pretty much made their kids go through college, made millions off of our people's oppression, man. By opening up a little store in the ghetto, as they say, and just making millions off the Jake community. Okay? That's a fact. All right? So all these nations, they're going to weep and wail because they ain't going to be able to make merchandise anymore, just like it says. Okay? It says, no more all the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Yeah, because they're going to stand afar off and see the destruction. Then it's going to come over them like, what have we done? But it's going to be too late by then. And like we always go into, they're not going to be wailing because America's such a good place. They're going to be weeping and wailing because, like you said, them goodies, the money ain't going to be made no more. Let's just say it like that. Okay? And it says, and 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 cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Okay? For in 1 hour, that's just all it's going to take. So all those hundreds of years of raping, robbing, and pillaging that the so-called white man's done to attain his power seat in America, the Lord's going to judge it in 1 hour. See, the Lord set up America also to glorify himself, man. To glorify his name. The Yahweh Hashem Yahushai set up America, set the so-called white man up on a pedestal. So when he brings him down, it's who's going to be glorified off of it? Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Look, I brought down this tyrant of the earth. Okay? Just like he did with all the kingdoms of old. And a particular kingdom, which is still famous till this day, is what? Egypt. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai brought Egypt down. And Egypt was a great kingdom of its time. And guess what? The Lord brought it down, just like he's going to do Babylon the Great, man. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Lord have avenged you on her. And this is what we're getting ready to do. We're going to rejoice because the Lord's going to avenge who? The Israelites, man, on her. In particular, this go around the elect. Because it's the elect, it's the hopeful elect, or the brothers that teach this word in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's name, the true name. They're the ones weeping and wailing and complaining, man, about the oppression that's taking place in this society, the wickedness that's happening. The elect are the ones basically, crying unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, like, Lord, when are you gonna get us out of here, man? So we're gonna be happy in that day. We know all that's happening in the world right now is leading up to this day, leading up to the judgment day of America. And after that, also remember that ain't the end, because after that, we're going to round up all these Edomites. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is going to give his men the power to round up Edomites from all over the world. All right? Australia, Russia, they're going into slavery. They're going to serve their captivity for 1,000 years. That's just the beginning. So, it's beautiful what Trump's doing, because he's rousing up these nations, which is further fulfilling prophecy. So with that, I'm going to say all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachah, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect Akim that teaching this word. Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachah, Kodash. Shalom, shalom.